What's going on, everybody? C4 here. Welcome back to today's video. We are going to try and start a movement, try to get some momentum behind what we're going to discuss about in today's topic, and that is Superstar X Factors, Superstar abilities in Madden 20. Last week, we started to break down all of the players that got X Factors, all the players that got Superstar abilities, and it seemed like, generally speaking, for me, from my perspective, it's going to be a welcome addition to the Madden gameplay experience. Right now, Madden 20's gameplay is 10 times better than Madden 19's, and that's fingers crossed. Hopefully, the game releases like it was at beta and doesn't get patched to death like Madden 19 did. And I think a big reason why the gameplay feels so special, feels so, I don't want to say realistic, because obviously, as we went through some of those X Factors and abilities, they are, make it feel like a video game. But at least it has good players feeling like good players, and not everyone feels the exact same. And in a world coming from Madden 19 where everyone felt the exact same, every team called the exact same game plan, it was just very, very fresh. It was very, very fresh. It was very, very vibrant. But as we went through these lists, we did quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, defensive linemen, linebackers. We did every positional group. There were some big-time omissions. Players that are really, really good that got slept on. They got robbed of a special ability. So that is what today's video is going to be. Last year, Carson Wentz, when the ratings came out, that he had, I think an 84, 83. I got hot. I made a video. It made the circle when got some good circulation, and basically Carson Wentz had throw under pressure was a brand new rating that they implemented in Madden last year. His was like a 75, which was ridiculous. That's easily the biggest strength of his game. So we were able to get that buffed before release, and he was 1 point higher. So I feel like maybe if we can get some momentum behind this, some of these players that have been robbed of X Factor or Superstar abilities will get them on launch. So without further ado, at number 10, this is going to be a list, a top 10 list. Why not? They're the best videos to do. We have Tyreek Hill. Obviously incredibly controversial, but the fact, if he's going to be in the game, which he is going to be, he's in the game. He's Tyreek Hill. He should still get some abilities. My opinion, he should have got Streak Specialist, which is, hey, I think Mike Evans and AJ Green are the only two wide receivers who got Streak Specialist, and I feel like, is there anyone that runs streaks better than Tyreek Hill? If there's anyone in the NFL that just says, hey, run in a straight line and simply just run past the defensive backs, it's Tyreek Hill. I feel like that was an ability that probably was already given to him, and then they made a decision after all of the off-field issues to kind of keep it away. I'm not going to lie. From a purist standpoint, he probably should get it, but from a personal standpoint, you put emotions into it. What he's done is disgusting, and I guess rightfully so. He's getting punished, if you can call this a punishment, for a virtual video game. But, I couldn't make a list without talking about Tyreek Hill not getting an ability. Number 9, kind of in the same regard, Kareem Hunt, running back, Cleveland Browns. He didn't get any, and push comes to shove, he's still top 5 running back in the National Football League. And once he serves what's probably, I don't know if they've actually handed out his suspension yet, probably going to be 8 games, somewhere in that territory. 4 or 8, similar to Ezekiel Elliott, if we want to let history determine where this could go. Kareem Hunt still probably should have an ability. I think either outside or inside zone guru, which just gives you, better ability running between the tackles or outside the tackles. Either way, I mean, he is a very well-rounded back, and I think, Ezekiel Elliott is like the big feature back for inside or outside. I think a guy like Kareem Hunt could also get one of those abilities. At number 8, this is in relation to a tweet from Moonlight Swami, who works on the ratings. He said that 10 offensive linemen will have abilities. Now, we have no idea what these abilities are going to be, but I took a guess at what 10 offensive linemen should get abilities on release. We have David Bakhtiari of the Green Bay Packers, Taron Armstead from the New Orleans Saints, Quentin Nelson of the Indianapolis Colts, Joe Bitonio from the Cleveland Browns, Jason Kelsey from the Philadelphia Eagles, Zach Martin from the Dallas Cowboys, Marshall Yanda from the Baltimore Ravens, Mitchell Schwartz from the Kansas City Chiefs, Lane Johnson from the Philadelphia Eagles. And to find that last 10 spot, obviously there's some good players. I could have been biased and thrown in maybe Brandon Brooks from the Eagles, but I ultimately think David DeCastro from the Pittsburgh Steelers. So those are my 10 for the predictions. I know for a fact that, you're probably Bakhtiari, Kelsey, Zach Martin are probably going to be locks. And then as we saw with some of the other abilities, sometimes it's not always the best player. If you're marketable, if you're one of the guys that's an easy selling point for the game, you might get it. And when you look at marketable offensive linemen, Lane Johnson got to be up there. He's all over social media. Quentin Nelson coming off a really, really hype rookie season. I think his name could be thrown into the mix too. But I'm very excited. That's one of the biggest things. If anyone out there has played the beta, if you went to EA Play and you're able to play the game, having those offensive line counters to the freakishly overpowered defensive line abilities, be it Fearmonger or Unstoppable Force, which is the big one. I think offensive linemen getting those abilities because they should be able to shut down certain players. Going number 7, Kevin Byard, safety from the Tennessee Titans. I mean, this guy has got as many turnovers the last couple of years as anyone. First team All-Pro last season, followed up 4 interceptions this year for the Tennessee Titans. Give him pick artist. The fact that he did not get pick artist, which gives you a higher interception percentage, and you lose no stamina loss on interception returns. I feel like that's a perfect trait for one of the best safeties in football. I think if you're ranking the top 5 safeties in the National Football League, Byard's fringe top 5. He's somewhere in that territory, especially if you put in that 2017 season. So I think he is a big-time omission. I think only one Titan got an ability, and that was... No, 2. I think they got 2 superstars. No X Factors on the Titans. I think Casey got a run stuffer, and Derrick Henry got the stiff arm. Maybe Derrick Henry didn't even get the stiff arm. Maybe they just completely slept on the Tennessee Titans. I can't remember the top of my head. But either way, Byard's the best player, I think, in my opinion, on the Titans, and he should have gotten ability. Number 6, we have Levante David, linebacker from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. One of the more underrated linebackers in the National Football League. I think for outside 4-3 linebackers, he's like top 3 in the league. So the fact that he got omitted from a position that it seemed to include a lot of linebackers for superstar abilities. There's only 2 X-Factor linebackers in Luke Kuechly and Bobby Wagner. That's how I think it should be. But then when you go beyond that, you start seeing guys like, Jadeveon Clowney. He's in the same territory, obviously different positions, but in terms of where they fit on the respected linebacking scale, probably very similar. Darius Leonard, TJ Watt got an ability. CJ Mosley got an ability. Leighton Vander Esch got an ability. I think if you're starting to add some of those guys, the fact that you didn't throw Levante David a bone, maybe Tackle Supreme, the ability that gives you better conservative tackle and you're rarely faked out from ball carrier moves. I feel like that's a perfect ability for Levante David and to a defense that doesn't have a whole lot going for it in terms of players with special abilities. I think Levante David should get one. Go number 5, we have DeForest Buckner, defensive tackle from the San Francisco 49ers. From the D tackle spot, he had like 13 sacks, 17 TFLs last year, something crazy like that. Unreal production. I think when you are that good, when you are like a fringe all-pro player, when you are the best pass rusher from the defensive tackle position on your team, you gotta get some love. I think for Buckner, reach elite, which gives you an ability when you're engaging with blockers. You could stick your arm out and bring them down for a tackle or a sack. Or maybe just under pressure, which is the ability that you can apply pressure from a quarterback from a greater distance. Buckner is gigantic. He's like 6'6", 6'7", somewhere in that territory. That'd be a nice ability to give him. But the fact that he didn't get anything, and I think he is a top 5 defensive tackle in the National Football League, as some questions may arise. I mean, you throw in Jarrell Casey. Probably wouldn't put Jarrell Casey over to DeForest Buckner for getting an ability. Geno Atkins, similar range, I would like to think. And I don't know. Maybe I feel like if anyone on this list, he's probably the second closest to getting an ability if it all happens. But the number 1 omission, and it's not going to be who you think he is. I think he absolutely should get an ability on release, and probably will, because it's absolutely ridiculous that he didn't get anything. But Buckner at number 5 definitely deserved an ability. Niner fans, you have a right to be salty. Go number 4, we have David Johnson, running back from the Arizona Cardinals. Do we forget that over the last 3 years, he still is probably like the 3rd best receiving back in the National Football League behind Le'Veon Bell missed a year. Same with like David Johnson with the injury. I just think backfield mismatch for David Johnson, which gives you better catch in traffic when route running out the backfield. He's one of the best route running backs, and you can't really take in account what happened last year for the Arizona Cardinals. They had the worst offensive line in the National Football League. They had the worst offense in the National Football League. And every team knew and went all out to stop David Johnson. Still, he went over 1,000 yards from scrimmage. I don't think there's very many running backs in the National Football League that will be able to do that. I think without a doubt, he is within that conversation to be considered to get a running back ability, especially when you look at some of the other running backs that did get abilities. You're going to give Melvin Gordon an ability? Okay, but where's David Johnson? You give Tariq Cohen an ability. Nick Chubb an ability. Where's David Johnson? I feel like they got I think Saquon Barkley, obviously there's always going to be a slight bias, even though I think till this day he's the most talented running back I've scouted since he's come out of college. He goes for the Giants, there's going to be a little bit of saltiness, but I feel like they gave way too many abilities just to Saquon Barkley. Like, evasive is only Saquon Barkley. Backfield mismatch, which I think is the perfect ability to give to David Johnson, is only on Saquon Barkley. I feel like you could expand it out a little bit, and people aren't gonna, go, oh my God, there's too many running backs with abilities. I think, backfield mismatch is a perfect ability for David Johnson. I'd love to see him get that. Going to number 3, we have Patrick Peterson, cornerback from the Cardinals. Cardinals got robbed. I don't know if this was because of the steroid thing or whatever, but I mean, he was runner-up for first-team All-Pro, and there are a lot of good corners, not great corners that got ability. Byron Jones got an ability, but he didn't give one to Patrick Peterson. And I'm someone that constantly undervalues Patrick Peterson. Look at any of my hot takes when I post them on Twitter. I never really rate Patrick Peterson as like a top 3, top 5 corner like some people do. I think he's fringe top 5. But I'm speaking from this as someone that doesn't, hold him in the absolute highest regard. He definitely needed an ability, especially when you look at, Byron Jones from the Dallas Cowboys, 1 year wonder. He had one big year, didn't have any interceptions, but still, graded it well from Pro Football Focus. You're giving him something. Richard Sherman had a horrible year last season. I mean, not horrible, but horrible by his standards. And he doesn't get anything. You look beyond that, you still have to see that. What we got here for abilities? Kyle Fuller, Xavier Howard, Micah Hyde. I mean, different positions, but still defensive back. Chris Harris got a bunch of abilities. I feel like Patrick Peterson should have got one. I think man up. He's one of the best man cover corners in the league, and only 2 corners got the man up superstar ability, and Chris Harris and Stephon Gilmore. So it's not like it'd be oversaturated. Throw in a third name there, no one's gonna complain. Go number 2. It's gonna be Carson Wentz of the Philadelphia Eagles. Obviously, there is some big time bias, but I feel like understanding the abilities that are there for the quarterback position and looking at, yes, Carson Wentz go play a full 16 games. Yeah, okay. But 2 years ago, he was pretty much the most electrifying player in the professional game. He should have won MVP. But when you look at the strength of his game, his biggest thing is you look at any of his big time plays, it's him not going down in the pocket, him making ridiculous plays inside of the pocket, extending the play. And understand there's a superstar ability called Freight Train, which is only given to Cam Newton, which is when a player enters his zone, the ability increases their chance to break the next tackle. Okay, Carson Wentz probably fits that mold, but that's an X factor. So given the fact that he's been banged up and all this and that, maybe just even looking at superstar ability, escape artist for Carson Wentz. Passers with this ability are faster and more responsive to user input while scrambling behind the line of scrimmage. He kind of fits into that ability, I think. But for me, the biggest one for Carson Wentz is going to be the ability to have the agile extender superstar ability, which is while you're in this pocket, passers with this ability are most guaranteed to evade the first sack attempt by a blitzing defensive back. This is given to Russell Wilson and Deshaun Watson. And I like Deshaun Watson. I'm a big Deshaun Watson fan, but if he's getting his ability and not Carson Wentz, I mean, I haven't seen a whole lot of Deshaun Watson highlights where, you just compare them. Compare the scrambling, you compare the highlights of who dodges the first sack attempts more. I guarantee Carson Wentz could have more than Deshaun Watson. So we do know that the people that are in control of the ratings probably most definitely undervalue Carson Wentz, but give him ability. He desperately needs an ability. Come on. Makes sense. And then finishing up at number 1, we got Chris Jones, defensive end from the Kansas City Chiefs. This makes absolutely no sense why he doesn't have an ability. He was a 3-4 defensive end, had like 15 and a half sacks. I don't know how many tackles for loss. I'm shocked. Second team All-Pro. I don't know if he just got kind of looped in with the fact that the Chiefs defense was historically awful last season. But I think looking at how Chris Jones plays fearmonger, which gives you a big-time boost to quarterback pressure or under pressure, which when you pressure a quarterback, you can do it from a greater distance. Either one of those abilities would be perfect for Chris Jones. And the fact that he doesn't even just have like a superstar ability, I get if there's a certain cutoff, you want to limit how many guys get the big X factor. But the fact that he doesn't even have a superstar ability, when you look at every other second team All-Pro defensive lineman got an ability. Guys who didn't have amazing years but had a little bit of a reputation got an ability. Looking at maybe like a Geno Atkins, even though I do think he's really, really good, he still got an ability over Chris Jones. Don't know about that one. DeMarcus Lawrence getting an ability over Chris Jones. Don't know about that one, Chief. Ryan Kerrigan. Jarrell Casey. You know what I'm saying? So the list goes on. I think, even by side, Carson Wentz probably wouldn't even be number 2. Like, I'm looking at this right now. Chris Jones is 1. I think you look at Pat Pete, DeForest Buckner at 2 and 3, and then you can kind of get into the Wentz and stuff like that. But Chris Jones, that's an absolute robbery. So yeah, hopefully this, we can get some good feedback going here, and some of these players can get brand new abilities on launch. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think we had a good top 10 list here? Is there anyone that we missed out on? I know there's gonna be a lot of Cowboy fans say Dak or Jared Goff and everyone in between, but definitely let me know. And I think we can cultivate a nice list. Maybe if we ask nicely, some of these guys could get abilities on launch. So there you go, guys. That's it for everything for today's video. As always, if it's your first time stopping by, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button. Madden 20 season's just starting, baby. We're gonna be going all in this year. Smash the like button if you enjoyed. Make sure you leave a comment. And until next time, it's C4 saying peace out.